Hey everyone, I'm Tiffany, your host of Beauty and Confidence Within, how to radiate your unique power and beauty from the inside out. Today we have Kellyanne Callaghan. How are you, Kellyanne?
I'm good. Thanks so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Of course, I'm excited to have you because Kelly is the founder of Spray Tan Class. She just sold her beauty bar during quarantine, Slay Beauty Bar. She has a YouTube channel, a Facebook group called Beauty Business Babes. She has a massive IG following, and she has a podcast and annual conference called All Beauty Business Babes, where she helps empower women with their mindset and marketing. And this is exactly why I wanted to have her on because she has such valuable expertise and wisdom to share. So, Kelly, for those that don't know you yet, can you please tell us who you are and how you got into your work?
Yeah, absolutely. So again, thank you so much for having me. I love doing these conferences and connecting with women. So I'm really excited to be here.
So excited to have you.
Yeah, so I am currently in Temecula, California. I was born in LA and I always knew that I wanted to be a business owner. I didn't know like what that was going to look like. I just knew that I didn't want to be confined to the rules of others. So I wanted the freedom. I wanted to be able to be creative, do whatever it is that I wanted to do. So as I was growing into a career, I was in sales for a long time. And around the age of 26, living that corporate life, making six figures, it was all good financially, but I know that it was like soul sucking for me. I just hated it. So there was a point in time where there was like a week where I was just bawling my eyes out at work and I just knew that there was something off. I was not in alignment with what I needed to be doing and living my purpose. So when that happened, I had been saving money. I'm pretty good at doing that just naturally. So when that time came, it was really nice because I had the ability to be able just to quit and give my 2 weeks in.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
And so
awesome.
it was scary.
Mm-hmm.
But it was necessary for me to do that in order to find out like what I truly wanted to do. So I traveled for about 18 months.
No.
And at the end of the 18 months, I had literally like $2,000 in my bank account. And I was just thinking like, what am I going to do with my life right now?
Where did you go?
I went to Brazil, I went to Peru, I went to Amsterdam, all the party cities because I was like 20-year-old party girl.
Uh-huh.
And it was really, really fun. It was awesome. And so when I got back, I was like, okay, so I can either go back to corporate and make the six figures and be comfortable,
Right.
or I can scare the shit out of myself and like start a business. And so I started looking at an old journal entry, and one of the pages on there was talking about entrepreneurial ideas. And at the very top, it said mobile spray tanning. And I didn't know what that meant. I was like, what is a mobile spray tan? Have no idea still to this day how I had that idea.
Oh.
But I booked somebody, they came to my house, popped up a tent, spray tanned me in like literally 15-20 minutes, and she left. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
I'm going to go ahead and go all in.
Uh-huh.
And I'm so glad I did because I was able to create a really strong foundation from the very beginning, just learning as I went. And within 2 years, I've now created a worldwide business, which is Spray Tan Class. And it's a multi six-figure business, which is more than what I was making before.
Wow. So wait, hold on. This was only 2 years ago?
So I actually started in 2014, but within 2 years, I was
Oh, I
able
see.
to create the multi six figures. Yeah.
Awesome. That's so dope. Good for you.
Thank you. It's been a
Yeah.
journey. Not
Yeah.
all easy at all, but like,
I know because they say you learn how to be an entrepreneur when you become an entrepreneur. So I feel you, girl.
yeah.
um, so when working with your clients, how do you portray confidence and inner beauty to them?
So I think it all comes down to authenticity. I think there's a lot of like fluff. And when I say that, I mean a lot of people trying to put their best foot forward. And I think that's great. I think it's beautiful to stay positive and to show, you know, really like the highlight reel of your life because people are inspired by that, right? They're like, oh, she's doing that, so I can do it. And I think that's so beautiful in itself. But I do think that when shit hits the fan, am I allowed to cuss? Because I
Yes,
cuss.
girl, please
Okay.
do. It's authenticity, right? We're
Exactly.
authentic over here, so it's all good.
So I was just thinking, this is great and this is what you're supposed to do on Instagram and all these things. But it wasn't until I started really showing like the ugly parts of being a business owner and of
Mm,
going through a really terrible separation from my then husband. And
mm,
that involved him like cheating and like, being a drug addict, that, all these things, so many ugly pieces of the puzzle, because everyone had this idea that, like my life was easy or I had got things handed to me, but that was never the case. So
mm,
when that happened, and I got really, really hurt,
mhm.
I decided to open up about my struggles. And it wasn't until then I felt like people started really gravitating to me and being like, you know what? She's so like honest.
Yes,
And
like real and open.
totally, because you
Mhm.
don't really hear about that.
That's
And
true, you don't. Mm,
so it's not, I think that's when it gives them permission to say, hey, like if she can be ugly or if she can show her mess, I can do that too and be okay with it.
mhm, mhm. Awesome. I love that. That is true. We all need to be authentic in our own way and show people that it's not always cupcakes and rainbows, you know?
Totally,
Mhm.
100%.
Yeah. So, what is the most fulfilling part of what you do?
I've always been drawn to working with women. I don't know what it's been my entire life. Like, I love having an abundance of girlfriends. I love connecting with women.
Mhm.
So, I think the most fulfilling thing is really seeing these women that I work with go from, this infancy stage, essentially, like never owning a business, or maybe they're just in the beginning stages and they're asking for my help, and being able to see them transform from someone who is in the infancy stage to somebody who is like so incredibly like more powerful than what they were, and really stepping into what I like to call their goddess,
Mm,
and being able to be so incredibly confident and authentic in their own way.
mhm.
So seeing that growth and that transformation is definitely the most fulfilling thing that I do.
So how do you help them do that? How do you help them realize their goddessness?
Yeah. So I think a lot of it has to do with just conversation, right? Connecting with them, allowing them to open up and be real, because I, give them that space. And I also am the same way with them. Like, I consider my clients to be friends of mine.
Mm,
And so when I come from a place of like truly wanting the best for them, it means that I have to be 100% communicative and just like open and honest with them. So when that happens, even if they might not want to hear it, a lot of the constructive criticism and feedback, I should say, really helps them, become more confident. And also like tools that I use in everyday life to stay grounded, stay focused, get more clarity on what we're doing here, and keeping promises to ourselves, because
mm.
I do believe that confidence is built when you create the promises, but also fulfill those promises to
Yes,
yourself, because then you start trusting who you are.
like accountability.
Yeah.
That's so true because sometimes we don't keep ourselves accountable. We'll just let ourselves slide all the time because there's no one else keeping us accountable, but we have to have the discipline to do it ourselves. Yeah.
Yeah. And I still fall into that trap. Like, nobody's perfect. I'm not perfect. But a lot of the times I'll have to just, especially being pregnant, that first trimester was really hard to try to get out of the bed. And finally, I was just like, I need to hire a coach to help me. And I have to like have my own self accountability to be able to still continue to work. And it was hard, but I did it. So
Yeah, I
got that
totally feel you. I totally feel you on that physical because it's like there's that physical like sickness or whatever going on, and you're just like, I don't want to move or go out or do anything. But yeah, you push past that, so that's awesome.
now. Yeah.
Even though you weren't feeling the greatest, so yeah, that's very telling too because you could have very well just laid in bed,
And I
which you
did
also
many days.
deserve to do too. You know what I mean?
I totally did many days, but for the most part, I still like worked. I still did what I had to do in order to, create the momentum that I did and sell my business and move into a new home and like do all the things that just happened
Yes,
within the
yes,
last
yes,
month or
yes.
so.
Congratulations, by the way, on everything on life.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Quarantine did me good, I think.
I think it's doing a lot of us good. There's a balance. There's a balance, but it's doing people good.
For
Um,
sure.
so how do you push past fear and self-doubt to step into your own power?
Yeah, so that's a great question and something that I love to talk about. I become an observer of my thoughts. So that's first and foremost. Whenever I feel a fear coming up for me,
Mm-hmm.
it's typically because it's something that is unknown to me. So whether it's like speaking live at an event or going into an unknown situation that I'm just not sure of, like all of that brings fear for me. And so when I start feeling those butterflies in my stomach or start getting anxiety, I become an observer of my thoughts and kind of remove myself from the situation and think, why am I feeling this way?
Mm-hmm.
What is like the deep rooted answer to that? Not surface level, not like, oh, I'm just scared because there's people that I don't know there, but like
Right,
really,
right.
what's a deeper answer? Is it because you feel insecure,
Mm-hmm.
or is it because somebody rejected you before, or whatever the case may be?
Yes.
And typically, when I ask myself this and I'm able to answer that question, then I realize like this is just like fear. All it is, it's an illusion in our minds. It's just an illusion, a made up story that we made up in our own heads because it's not validated. There's no truth to it. So when I start talking to myself
Mm-hmm.
and realizing like you can totally reframe and pivot your thinking into something that's a lot more empowering. So instead of focusing in on, what if they don't like me or I'm not good enough and all of these things that do come up for many, I would say all of us really,
Mm-hmm.
then I can start to really work through that, break that down to build up a new, more empowering thought process. And it kind of looks like, I am good enough. I am fun. I am funny. I am social. I love people. I love connecting.
Mm-hmm.
So when I start doing that kind of over and over in my head, you really start to like do it quickly once you gain that momentum and practice that.
Yes, very true. Yes, it
It's
comes
not
with
as
practice. And I recently started having conversations with myself too about that stuff because it's not going to go away. It's always going to be there. And I think we need to realize that. Like, don't let it overcome. Like, just be like, okay, why are you here? What are you doing? Like, and then just like suppress that and work past it. So, yes, that's awesome advice. Thank you.
yeah.
So, how do you feel like our challenges can contribute to our confidence?
So I think that's where actually like the magic happens. If we can use maybe COVID that's happening right now, right? Like a lot of us could have chosen to, say, hey, this is the most horrible thing that we've ever been to and just, let it cripple us. Or we could use this to look at the opportunities within the obstacles that we have, currently.
Right.
I personally like I love change. I love challenge. I'm like a puzzle person. Like I love to figure things out and I love to fix things. So when I'm presented with a challenge like having to close my salon for most of the year during COVID,
Mhm.
I started really putting full force into my online training programs and helping women
Mm.
with their own marketing and getting into like helping them create their own online courses, for example. I created a whole new like business model that probably wouldn't have happened if COVID didn't hit, or if it did happen, it would have happened like a long time from now.
Mm.
So whenever I'm faced with an obstacle, I try again my best to become an observer of like what is actually going on instead of becoming so emotionally attached and like distraught with
Mhm.
the obstacle at hand, and
Mhm.
say, how can I fix this issue?
Mhm.
Right. And when you're able to do that, even like the first time that you do this and you're like, wow, I've been able to figure this out on my own and I'm actually making, taking action and making changes in my life that are more positive, you become just in that moment, you become so freaking proud of yourself, or at least you should be really proud of yourself. And you'll find that that mentality of like everything can be figured out, and you being this person to figure it out on repeat, like that in itself is so empowering and it's so powerful. So it's something that I personally do on like almost an everyday basis because there's constantly like problems, right?
Yes, yes. We'll talk about boss mindset.
Yeah, it's so true though. Like, I mean, that's why we're business owners,
Yes,
is
yes,
because
yes,
you can figure things out.
yes.
So,
When's your birthday? I was just thinking that when you were speaking about how you like figuring things out.
so I am on the cusp of Cancer Leo. It's 7/22, July
Oh, you just
22nd.
had your birthday. Happy belated. Well,
Thank
not
you.
just, but I mean, it kind of seems.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know what day it is, to be
Happy,
honest with
I
you.
know, right?
Like,
Seriously. Okay. So what do you think would cause people not to feel worthy?
yeah, and this is a good one too, because a lot of it isn't even us. Like
Okay.
those thoughts that come up of not feeling good enough, or the fears and the doubts, and, all of the insecurities that come up for us typically are from my own experience and working with other people. A lot of the times we find that it's from childhood,
Mm,
things that were said to us, experiences that we've had, traumas that we've endured during our entire lives
mhm.
that have really instilled certain beliefs. And especially when you're young, like, up until like
Yes,
7, you're
yes.
like a sponge taking all of this in.
Mhm.
So if something traumatic happens to you, or if you get told over and over again that, you didn't do good enough, or you don't get validated in the way that you want to get validated, I think, that obviously contributes to our belief system now. And it's really hard to understand that first and foremost, become aware of it. It's hard to break it down. It's hard to build up a new belief system. But just like we were talking about earlier, being an observer and breaking it down to build it back up to whatever it is that you want, your new belief system to be, it's possible. You can do that. It just takes a lot of work and awareness.
Okay, yeah. So I was going to ask you, how do you overcome it? But so, like breaking it down and assessing each little component to see
Mhm.
how you can grow from that and build your foundation up more. That's awesome.
Totally. And like going hand in hand with fear, it's like we have to realize like a lot of these stories that we're telling ourselves, they're not true.
True. You're
They're
right.
not true. They're just, imposed ideas or beliefs from other people that have been instilled in our minds. So, like, you just need to become aware and to say, I choose not to think that thought anymore. And I choose to think this more empowering thought. And just as a disclaimer for anybody that's like, struggling with this, it's not easy. It's hard because your whole life you've had this belief
Yes,
system.
that's
So,
very true. It's not easy. It's true. I hope that like we're getting the message out to women that it's not like gonna happen overnight. It's work that you have to put into yourself. And when you're
mhm.
talking about like accountability and discipline, like you have to really do that work within yourself so that you can move forward, like get over those humps, and move
Yeah.
forward and upward, actually.
Totally. Because I think oftentimes too, like we'll compare it to somebody that we see and we're like, how does she have so much confidence? And like, no
Um,
fear, but that's not true.
yeah, it's not true. Yes, I know. We're just seeing the good things. We're seeing what people want us to see. Mhm.
Right.
Okay, so what advice can you give to make women feel beautiful and confident within themselves?
Yeah, and I think there's a couple of things that we've touched up on already, but I think the main thing is to understand, of course, like your your thoughts and your behaviors, becoming incredibly aware.
Mhm.
I think that's really been like one of the biggest things that has helped me is, I think I was so blinded by the fact that these thoughts were not really my own thoughts, like thoughts of, being insignificant or not good enough or not smart enough, or to this or to that. And once I was able to realize, like, wow, a lot of these I now know are from like other people saying something, even just one time, and then it just stuck with me.
Mhm.
So understanding that, like, again, we have the power to change our thought process, that in itself like brings so much confidence, and it instills so much power within ourselves, so that way we can move forward in the way that we truly want to, because we have that choice any day, right? I always think about, what would she do? And when I think about that, I think about like my higher self. What would my higher self do? So I started honestly changing the way that I ate, changing the way that I look, changing the way that I am and that I'm being,
Mhm.
to serve others better instead of being so selfish, because I was so selfish in the beginning. I had no idea what the hell I was doing.
Mhm.
So there's a lot to it, but just becoming aware. Awareness is huge.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, so what tools can you recommend for us? Any songs, CDs, podcasts, or routines that you have for confidence boosting?
Yeah, and I think it's different for everybody. But for me personally, something that really allows me to stay grounded and to start the day off in a really good way is I do a couple of different things in the morning before I hop out of bed.
Mhm.
One thing is a three like part gratitude
Mhm.
in my mind. So I'll have like a gratitude list of three things. So one thing like would be, my boyfriend who has basically like built everything that I have in my office, for example.
Mhm.
The next thing can be something as simple as like water, just like hydrating us and, just giving us life essentially. And then the last thing could be something like, interviewing and connecting with people like you. So just feeling into those parts of it, like you don't want to just say, oh, I'm grateful for this, and this. Like you want to have it with like so much intention that you're actually feeling the gratitude within your body.
Mhm.
And I know that might be a little bit weird for some people, but I promise you, like when you start really thinking and putting yourself in those situations of like, I am so freaking grateful that we get to connect today, or that my boyfriend gets to help me out with all these things that I'm doing. When you start to think about it and how much it's affected you in a positive way in your life, like I literally get tingles all over my body and chills sometimes, and it just, you're energetically changing your state of being,
Yes.
so you're then attracting more of that goodness into your life, and you're starting the day off in such a powerful way.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. When you're grateful, you attract more things in your life to be grateful for. So that's like
Mhm.
key right there. I feel like that's so key. And even like how you were saying water, like to drink it, or even the fact that we have warm water and running water in the shower or a toilet to flush. We take all that stuff for granted. So yes, gratitude is very key. Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other suggestions for us?
Yeah, so I love Tony Robbins. And one of the things that I learned through him is to create a new state, basically. So, and this is like really good for people who are struggling right now, people who maybe can't get like their momentum up or their motivation up or their inspiration up. So he talks about changing your state. And what that means is just basically like understanding that you have the power to, instead of just like sulking around and being like sad and gloomy and things like that, you can actually, get your body up and start moving your body. Start like dancing, start hopping on a trampoline, start like getting momentum going
Mhm.
and changing your state from like a physical level first, then will create change in your mental state as well.
Mhm.
So it all comes down to, again, like awareness of, hey, I actually have the power to change this. I'm not just some prisoner to feeling this way, if
Mhm.
that makes sense. I think that's
Yes.
super powerful
Yes,
too.
yes, it makes so much sense, even down to like how you're saying changing your state. Like I'll just say like if we have clutter around us, like if we change that, then we just change the energy and it just opens up room for like more to come in and more for us to receive. So yes,
Totally.
very true. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
So what do you think is the importance of mindset building when we're focusing on our inner confidence?
When we're working on an inner confidence. So I think mindset is seriously the foundation of everything. That's why I love it. I actually got a BA in psychology. I'm actually on my way to get my master's and PhD.
Nice.
I
Congrats.
just love it.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm so excited.
Perfect. Perfect. I love hearing all your stories and theories. So yes, congratulations to you. But tell me more. Yes, tell me more.
Thank you. Sorry, can you repeat the question one more time? Because I
What
got
is the
sidetracked.
importance of mindset when you're
Yes,
trying to build your confidence?
super, super important. So I believe it's like the foundation of everything, because your belief system is the reason why you are showing up or you're not showing up.
Mhm.
So if you think about that, I mean, I think about old version me, 20 something me, who had like social anxiety, who just was like, I was social, but only when I drank. So like that's a problem, right? So I started to realize like, wow, like that's crazy that is the thing that I have to do in order to feel confident about myself. So when I started really like dissecting everything and understanding like my mindset going into a situation was all fear based, it was shit, and it was like me not feeling good enough. And
Mhm.
so going back to a couple of, things that we've said already, it's just really understanding the awareness and having the awareness that you can change. And when I started doing the inner work, like meditating, doing the visualization exercises, breath work, gratitude exercises, I started to realize like, this is not who I am. This feeling of being insecure is not who I am. And it really delves into a lot of the traumas that I've been through in my life, particularly with men. I've had like really bad relationships with men.
Mhm.
And it all fell back on that.
Mhm.
And so I started really like loving and dating myself. Like I started taking care of myself and going to the gym and eating better. And when I started doing that and keeping the promises to myself that I told myself I was going to do and doing again the inner work, I started really building up my own confidence. And it was all starting like with my mindset.
Mhm.
So if anybody out there is struggling with, thinking that they're not good enough or consistently feeling like hopeless, having anxiety and depression and things like that. I mean,
Mhm.
it doesn't even have to get to that point, but if it's already there, there's a lot of inner work that you can do. I do believe that we're all our own healers,
Mhm.
for the most part and to a certain extent. But if we can really just understand like what the truth of our inner being is and like who we are on the most deepest and most authentic level, then we can start to bring that person out by being consistent with our promises to ourselves, by loving ourselves more, by stopping worrying about like all of the external factors that contribute to our like self-worth. Essentially, if we are so damn confident in our own self, we're not going to worry about what he, she, it, or they said. We're just going to worry about ourselves and instill that confidence over and over and over again.
Yes, I love it. I love it all. Thank you. So, for those that would like to work with you or take advantage of what you have to offer, like your mindset, how can we work with you further?
Yeah, so I love, love, love connecting with women. I do host virtual events like this right now because of COVID. I also host the Beauty Business Babes live event every year. Hopefully, like next year will be our next one. But you guys can all, slide into my DMs. My Instagram handle is at I am underscore Kelly Ann. And I'm constantly on there. So if you guys want to pop in, say hello, I do have a freebie that I've created for you guys. And it's all about self-confidence, self-worth, and how you guys can step into your goddess. So if you guys want to just DM me and just put Beauty Business Babes in the DM, I'll know exactly what you guys need and I'll send you the link for that.
Awesome, cool. And so, your Facebook group too, is it only open to students or all women or business owners?
It's all women who are interested in mindset and marketing and scared for beauty business professionals. So we are on Facebook and it's called Beauty Business Babes.
Awesome. Cool. Thank you very much. And I know we talked about all these things today and you gave us a wealth of knowledge, but if you could just pinpoint one thing that we can start to do right now to boost our confidence and inner beauty, what would that one thing be?
So the one thing is to be freaking honest with yourself. Like just go into your thoughts again as an observer and like if you need to write it down, write it down. I'm all about journaling and things like that. But be so honest with yourself when it comes to understanding like why you are thinking the way that you're thinking and trying to dissect and understand that. It's just going to bring so much value to who you are as a person and a better understanding of what you need to do to become better.
Cool. Thank you so much, Kellyanne. It was so great to have you. So we're going to sign off now, and we hope that all of you found tips and tools to acknowledge your own worth and feel beautiful on the inside in order to step into the most confident and empowered version of yourself. We will see you guys next time on Beauty and Confidence Within. Thank you so much for joining us. Bye.
Bye.